Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. I'm Leo.
I'm Steve. Chris.
Sorry. And he's Chris, just ignore him. So today we're going to be, we've just seen G.I.JOE Retaliation, and so we're going to review that film. Before we get started, both Steve and Chris are big G.I. Joe fans, so they're going to get their opinions obviously on what they thought of the film as G.I. Joe fans. And you know, I'm passing interested in G.I. Joe, but not as big as these guys. So we'll just give you a very brief plot summary. Now this may have some spoiler-ish stuff in it. We'll try to keep it not too bad in regards to spoilers, but you know, there may be some stuff, so I warn you now. So the plot really is it's a direct sequel from obviously the previous film, but it has a largely new cast, and it takes place some years on after the initial film, and it's certainly less sci-fi, I would say, than the last film, and it really is. You've got this isn't really a spoiler because it's obviously it's at the end of the last film. You've got Zartan still posing as the president of the United States, and essentially he orders the G.I. Joes on a kind of a mission to steal a nuclear warhead, and then essentially blames them for causing an international incident, and promptly destroys them all but three of them, or four of them, because Snake Eyes isn't actually around at this point. And at that point he basically sort of says, you know, Cobra is this new force that are kind of going to be the peacekeeping agents. At the same time, they sort of spring Cobra Commander from his prison, like we saw him in the last film, and basically this is a condensed version of this plot. You've got Storm Shadow basically breaks out Cobra Commander, and you've got Snake Eyes going after Storm Shadow, kind of almost a separate sort of adventure really. Whilst Cobra Commander's plan, I think, was actually quite good. What he wants to do, he gets Zartan, who's posing as this US president, to basically get all the sort of world leaders who are nuclear powers together for a nuclear summit. And while they're all there, Zartan actually launches a nuclear strike, which causes everyone else to launch their missiles, and then he aborts them. So basically everyone gets rid of their nuclear sort of arsenal, and then Cobra is left with their one sort of new weapon that they developed, Zeus, which they plan to sort of use to sort of essentially have world domination. And it's obviously up to the Joes to stop them. So that's the plot in a nutshell, basically. You've got really Roadblock, played by The Rock, Lady J, played by, I can never pronounce her name, it's Adrian Pladaki or Planinki or something like that. You've got Flint by some unknown guy, and you've got Snake Eyes played by Ray Park, but he's kind of on a separate thing for 2/3 of this film.
And you got Duke briefly as well.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to add to the plot first of all? I don't want to go into too much of a spoiler, but
No, that's pretty much it, isn't it, really?
yeah.
So, what do you think of it?
I thought it was okay, better than the first one.
Yeah, I agree. Better than the first one. Still didn't. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it as a film, but for me, it's not how I would like it to be.
How about you, Chris?
I actually quite liked it, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of
A
all,
lot better than the first one.
First of all, this review is going to be fairly geek heavy. So first thing, let's talk about what we did like.
Okay.
Okay.
I like Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
And I like the fact he had his chrome faceplate
Chrome dome.
I like the way they did him. I kind of liked the fact that you saw like Cobra sort of coming to power, like raising their Cobra flags and all that. I kind of like that. You know, aspects of it I did like. Certain aspects I didn't like.
We'll go on to the negatives in just a sec. So anything else that you?
I liked all the Snake Eyes bits. I thought they were very good. The ninja bits I really enjoyed.
Okay. I really like The Rock in it. I like The Rock as an actor, or Dwayne Johnson as an actor and a character. Like you, I really like Snake Eyes. Was straight off the page of the cartoon.
Yeah, really
I don't think you could get Snake Eyes any better than they had him in this film. To be honest with you, I think he was perfectly realised. It was probably a slightly more realistic. I mean, we're not talking, you know, Black Hawk Down or anything like that, but I would say it's slightly more reined in than the sort of sci-fi-ness of the previous film.
Yeah, more sort of military-esque.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the way they act, I would say, is probably a little bit more traditional style military. Certainly the beginning parts of it, they're acting more like a kind of a proper military unit. You also have maybe a little bit more characterization on the Cobra side of it as well. I would say.
I quite like Firefly as well. I thought he was good.
Yeah,
I thought he was good. I like what I did like about it. I quite like the sort of, you know, the plot. What Cobra's
it was
plot.
quite clever. I thought it was quite clever.
Good. Yeah, it was a good plot, and it did sort of herald back to the cartoons, if you ask me.
Yeah,
Something like that would happen in the cartoons.
Yeah, I do agree. The only certain bit. Can we?
Yeah, we'll go on to the negative. Anything else you want to add to the positives?
Not really. Pretty much it, really. You know, I agree with you. Like, you know, I thought The Rock was good. Cobra Commander was superb. He looked really good. And I just, you know, I thought it was. I quite liked it as a film as a whole. I thought it was quite good.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Negatives, Steve.
Negatives. So on the whole, yeah, I did enjoy it, but certain aspects I didn't like. It's all the kind of the futuristic kind of technology that they have. I just don't like it. You know, there are all these souped up weapons. You know,
Yes, but
if
if you go back to the cartoon, they had that as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of like those little firefly things that were buzzing around and they turn into explosives. I just didn't like that. Too much. What I would like to see is it more military based, kind of.
Carry on.
Bit more gritty. But keeping within the kind of G.I.JOE, I think more like a lot of the graphic novels are, and that's how I would like it to be, a bit more sort of, I don't know,
Bit more realistic.
bit more realistic, less of the gadgetry stuff that is completely unrealistic.
Yeah, but like Chris said, if you look at the cartoons, the comics, they had all the sort of like
they
the
did.
trouble bubbles and that sort of stuff.
And the fatal fluffies
They
and all
were-
that crap.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. I see your point, but yeah, I mean, on the whole, it was not a bad film.
Anything else?
Negatives. Really, for me, it's just the fact. I don't know. It's just I prefer this. They're in like army, proper military uniforms, which I liked, as opposed to the first film where they all seem to be like black leather, and these futuristic suits, which I did not like at all in the first film. No. On a whole, you know, it was a good film, and I probably would, you know, if it was on again, I'd watch it. It wouldn't be something that. The first one I own on DVD, but I've only watched it once and then never again.
Would you own this one on DVD? Would you buy this one?
I probably would, yeah. For the fact, because it's good to see Cobra Commander walking about with his. I did like the aspects of it.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
Some of the acting was choppy. Two really stuck out to me. The RZA, who was the blind master, he was terrible. He was awful. He's basically like this. He plays kind of this like master of like this ninjutsu place where Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, and he got his delivery of lines was literally cringeworthy. It was oh my god, it was terrible.
Why is he? I'm not being racist, but why is he's the only black dude there? You know, they were like ninjas, Japanese.
Well, he's really into the actor's really into the actor. He's a rapper, isn't he? But he's really into all of that martial arts. So I'm guessing that's why they've asked him to be in it. Yeah. To be honest with you, but staying with the ninja theme, I also thought the female ninja Jinx. She didn't have a lot of lines when she talked. I thought she was crap as well. Yeah.
She was kind of an irrelevant character. They just kind of slipped her in there.
Her character is absolutely superfluous to the plot. They meant that you could have taken her out and it would have made no difference.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just to have another female in there.
Yeah, and another G.I. Joe name, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. She's completely irrelevant to
anything. Killed all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Off, and
so her character, no point there, and also Bruce Willis. He's in this film about as much as he was in The Expendables 2. To give you an idea, so don't be in any delusions. This is a Bruce Willis film.
Even though he's on the poster, like at the front.
He really is. He's maybe on the screen time for maybe 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
Yeah, what I found with Bruce Willis, any drawback I think having Bruce Willis in there is when he comes into it, it turns into a Bruce Willis picture, and I think it takes, in a way, a little bit takes away from what the film's about because you got Bruce Willis on the screen.
To me, he seemed to be kind of sleepwalking through it as well.
Yeah,
it's almost like
you didn't necessarily need to have Bruce Willis in it.
It's nice to have him there because I like, I'm a fan of Bruce Willis, but he didn't really seem like he was particularly invested in this.
No. His character could have been played by someone else. You know?
But I think they needed like a big, because Joe Colton is like the main. Where it all came from.
I'm not dissing the fact of Bruce Willis in it. But
no. I just think don't watch it thinking it's a Bruce Willis film.
There's not much point to him to the storyline, really.
No, maybe a bit more pointed than Jinx, but again, it didn't necessarily have to be. It was a cameo. It was an extended cameo. So those couple of bits. To me, I felt it was the story was sometimes a little bit disjointed to me. It kind of didn't flow. It's a hard thing to describe. To me, it was a good. I enjoyed it, but to me, sometimes the way the story kind of it just didn't flow naturally to me. It was strange to have Snake Eyes completely separate on this separate thing for 2/3 of this film, and there were some inconsistencies. We're not told how Storm Shadow came back, because if you remember at the end of the last film, he was stabbed and fell into the icy water. We're not told how he survived. So there's that. So there's a couple of bits like that. Some bits of Destro's kind of glossed over.
Yeah, he's kind of just left out.
Baroness isn't mentioned. Neither is Scarlet or anyone. You'll get one thing. I'll go back to positives. I did like that a lot of the G.I. Joes got killed in this, and I don't mean it's like some death fetish or anything, but I like to see that they're not like this invincible force that
Yeah, I kind of like that.
It's like a main character
for realism.
Yeah. So
and quite early on as well, in the film.
So it kind of gives you a sense of danger. So, any other negatives that we haven't mentioned, Chris?
Not really.
No.
The only negative I was going to say is the sort of Bruce Willis thing, really, and like maybe like you say, some of the hammy acting in it.
So we'll talk briefly, talk a little bit about the characters. I mean, obviously, this probably is the Rock's film first and foremost. And how did you feel about the Rock?
Yeah, he's alright. I think he can hold a film quite well, the Rock.
Yeah, there's some quite funny bits in it, and I actually quite liked early on in the film just the sort of conversational bits he's having with Channing Tatum's character Duke. I quite like that. It seemed quite natural to me. And they're there playing Call of Duty and stuff, and that was quite funny. So I like the Rock, and I think the Rock is a very charismatic actor. And he was good. I liked, and I was Lady J. I'm just going to call her that. I liked her. I thought she was a good character. She was engaging.
Particularly the bit when she's getting changed, you can see a reflection of her in the film.
Yeah, she looks very good. I have to say, but I find her character quite likeable. Flint, I want to say about Flint. Weird, very odd character decision, I have to say. He didn't seem like Flint to me.
He looks a bit like Flint.
I thought he was way too young. I mean, obviously, when you're looking at Flint, to me was someone a little bit more seasoned, a bit like you had Dennis Quaid in
He was more senior in the cartoons. He's more.
I thought he was higher than Duke in the cartoons.
Nah.
But I think they should have put the berry on him.
Yeah.
to make it look a bit better.
He was Flint in name only to me.
Yeah. Plus, he was probably a bit of a nobody actor as well. Didn't help, maybe. I don't know.
He's not really given much sort of characterisation.
Well, I think going back to say about The Rock, I think having him in this one was better than, because in the first one you didn't really have any kind of star pulling power at all, did you? It was kind of just like Joe Schmoes, you know, that Channing Tatum, but he wasn't even that big back then anyway, was he? You had Dennis Quaid, but I think with having The Rock in it, I think made it a bit more, I suppose, credible, really.
Yeah. Any other sort of characters? I'll talk about Firefly a little bit, because he's kind of one of the new characters.
Yeah, he was good.
And he's played by Ray Stevenson, who you may know from Titus Pullo from Rome or the Punisher Warzone film. He's kind of like, he's positioned to be the kind of rival to The Rock, to give really The Rock a sort of, or roadblock, I should really call him. So he's kind of like his sort of adversary in the film, because he's the one that sort of admits to killing basically Duke and all of the rest of the Joes. Cobra Commander looks good, but he's not on screen a hell of a lot and doesn't actually do very much, to be honest with you.
Really.
No.
I think he's in 3 scenes.
Just walks around with it.
Yeah,
He's in maybe 3 scenes, maybe 4, not including, you know, I'm talking about when he's made up in the the costume.
He could have used him a bit more.
He doesn't really do a hell of a lot. He just kind of strolls in, says a couple of lines, and then Zartan does most of the work. Talking briefly about Zartan, you don't actually see the original actor really, Arnold Volso, I think his name is. You see a couple of, like, he changes his sort of face, but that's CGI, it's not the actor, I don't think. It's just kind of like, you sort of see his sort of face go back to the digital representation of Arnold Volso, but it's not actually him. But I did like Jonathan Pryce playing the president by Zartan, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I thought he was
quite good.
He was good. Storm Shadow I thought was great as well.
Yeah, I quite like Storm Shadow.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think about the portrayals?
Yeah, again, he pulled
You
off.
didn't like, or apart from we spoke about?
Not really, no. Like I say, Jonathan Pryce
It's kind of the
pulled
Rock
off quite well, didn't he? With the because obviously sort of playing dual roles really, when he playing the president and then Zartan as the president, and he did it really well. Yeah, you know, it's quite believable that he was someone else. You know, that was quite good, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, apart from the negative kind of performances we've said about.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to give our marks out of 10, and then we're going to talk about maybe if there was a third film, what we think you'd see, and that bit is going to have some spoilers in it. So we're going to give our reviews out of 10. Then if you haven't seen this film yet, you might want to stop watching it from that point on. Otherwise, keep watching, and we'll kind of maybe talk about some of the character stuff that's happened, and also where we think, if it happens, a third film will go. So, Steve, if we go for your mark out of 10 first.
6.
I'm going to give it 6.5.
I'll give it 7.
10. All right, and so there you go. So we're probably looking at about a 6.5 as a kind of an average. So if you haven't seen this film, I'd recommend you stop watching now. Still here? Okay, we're going to assume that you've seen the film, and we're going to talk about a little bit about the fates of some of the characters and also where the film goes. So, Zartan's dead. Firefly's dead. We've got 4 Joes left. Well, no, 5, because Jinx becomes a Joe, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And Cobra Commander escapes. So, where would we go with the next film?
So he's really, apart from Storm Shadow, he's really the only Cobra kind of name left,
But
isn't he? At the moment.
you know, what I think will happen, there's obviously Cobra agents that you haven't seen in this film, but are around within the G.I. Joe universe. So, within the context of the film. So, I think I'm hoping in the next film you'd see maybe Scrap Iron.
I think you'll see Tamax and Zaymot.
Yeah.
To me, they're the next biggest Cobra.
Possibly, yeah.
Cobra.
I'd like to see a bit more evolution of the. What I'd like to see is Cobra Troopers looking like Cobra Troopers, but
they kind of did in this.
In a little bit.
They did. They look like the sort of the later incarnations of the Vipers.
Yeah, they did, I suppose.
Mine is the sort of the
like
vision.
you know, the original,
The old
ones,
school ones.
Yeah, the old school ones, something like that. And I'd like to see Baroness again, maybe.
Okay.
Or Destro, maybe.
Yeah,
I think
and that's
they
the
will
thing.
be bringing Destro back.
I think Destro was sidelined for him to be in the third film. Now again, this will be a spoiler. He's kind of, we do sort of see him. He's basically in the prison with Cobra Commander, but Cobra Commander basically says just leave him. And I think that he is going to be the antagonist for the next film, assuming this film does enough money to go through to a next film. Obviously, like you say, you've got still Cobra Commander on the loose, but I would say I think you're probably going to see maybe Destro and his people, Cobra and his remaining forces, and then G.I. Joe. So I think we may see like a three-way.
I mean, other Cobras you could have,
So,
like Major Blood. There's quite a few.
Destro and his Iron Grenadiers and all that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe.
So that's my prediction of what will happen. In regards to the Joes, there's such a massive catalogue of obviously characters they can draw from. I think Snake Eyes is going to be the mainstay. I think, like Chris was saying when we're driving back, Roadblock, I believe, you know, the Rock, he'll stay in there.
He'll be the main.
He'll be the main person. I think that'll be his.
I don't think they necessarily have Bruce Willis in it again.
No, don't need it.
He's not needed. I don't think. You may have another sort of like. What other high-ranking G.I. Joes have we not seen?
Well, you see your Hawks in the first one.
I mean, they could bring Hawk back.
They could bring him back.
You would assume he wasn't at the base. Him being fairly high.
Lieutenant Falcon, I think, would be good.
Yeah. So
Well, there's other. Who else was quite high up? Yeah.
Well, the higher Lady J was in the cartoon, and then you had obviously Flint, Hawk, Duke.
Yeah, you pretty much had most of the sort of like the higher end.
Beachhead though, he was quite high up as well.
Beachhead, yeah, maybe Beachhead.
So yeah, you probably have some more. In a way, I think they're all. The problem is with Snake Eyes here, he doesn't speak, so it's very difficult to have a film kind of based on him. Although he's arguably the most popular character in the G.I. Joe.
He's like the Boba Fett of G.I. Joe.
But he doesn't speak, so you couldn't really have.
He's cool. Yeah, there's something about him. He's a good character, and he's kind of like kind of air of mystery to him.
I did think when they brought, obviously it was Storm Shadow dressed up as Snake Eyes. Why the hell is he being brought into the prison in full armour and stuff? Yeah, that was a bit like, what? I know he was in disguise, but why would you have him? Surely you would take his armour off him before you know. Fair enough.
Yeah, I did think that was a bit strange.
Kind
Still
of
got his weapons on him.
He hasn't his weapons, but he had his scabbard, but. That he was still had his body armour on and stuff like that. Anyway,
the old grenade.
So would you like to see a third film?
Yeah, I think it would work. I think it would probably work, but I don't know how many more they could squeeze out. To be fair,
I think maybe one more. To be honest, it's set up for a sequel with Cobra Commander escaping. It's obviously they've obviously left it open.
In one way, it would have been. I think this one would have been good as a first movie, and forget about that. The first one.
The first one was a bit.
I think maybe do a trilogy from this movie onwards. Maybe.
I think they should have.
I think that would work.
Should have started it where Cobra Commander is how we perceive Cobra Commander to be.
Yeah, I think they messed around too long with him.
Like the first one, it's too much faffing around with before.
And in the first one, isn't he supposed to be Baroness's brother and all this sort of stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, is that any relevance to the comics? Or?
No, I think it's because she's called Duke and he's called. She's called Baroness and he's called Duke. Look at that! They've still got a royalty-based name.
American.
Yeah.
Then there was like
what? Yeah. One thing that I do not want to see in a future sequel is Serpentor.
No, I don't think you would.
That has got to stay away from Serpentor. Anyway, that wraps up this video. We're also going to be doing a video just discussing G.I. Joe in all its kind of formats, comics, toys, cartoons and films again. So that video will be up shortly after this one, so make sure you check that out as well. Subscribe to our channel and we'll see you next time.